Welcome back to the Wealth Builder podcast. My name's Nick Donato and I'm a financial advisor at Guidance Financial. A lot of people want to start the new year fresh with new gym goals, personal goals, financial goals. This early in the year, everyone's asking about what's your New Year's resolution that'll hopefully last past January. So today we're going to discuss 9 financial New Year's resolutions to kickstart your 2026. And today I'm joined by Paul. So thanks for joining me today, Paul, again.
Hey, g'day, Nick. Always good to jump online.
And yeah, so today we'll, as I said, New Year's resolutions, financial ones, especially here this early in the new year. Do you believe in New Year's resolutions yourself?
I'm
Do
not
you
a
stick to
str
them?
I'm not a strong believer, and no, probably not great at sticking to them. The best one I ever had was one year, and this is a long time ago. This is pre-kids, but my wife and I decided that we would attempt to cook something like a new dish, something we'd never cooked before, once a week. Just, because we felt we were just having the same dishes again and again. And we did stick to that one. And actually, that was the year that our first child, our son, was born. So, there was a few weeks lost there with hospital and bits and pieces. And yet I still, because there's other weeks where we did two new dishes in a week. So I know that over the course of the year, we ticked that one off. That's the only one I can really remember sticking to. But yeah, that was a good one. How about you?
Not too many. Or they may have lasted a couple of months and then got lost in the wash, so to speak. But new year, fresh start. Let's
Yeah,
kick it up.
yeah. And sometimes even if you do it for a few months, and that still might produce some benefits, right? Better than not doing it at all. So, still worth having a think about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I guess
Um,
that leads into the first one or number one of the 9, which is stop procrastinating. So just do it, as you just said.
Fantastic. Yeah, a great segue. And yeah, I mean, look, procrastination's evil. We all know it. Usually, it's related to overwhelm. In my experience, you could do this, you could do that, you could do something else. There's so many things. It's all too hard. I'll throw the hands up in the air and give up. So, if procrastination is something that's holding you back, then just try and distill things down. Would be my suggestion. Recognize that it probably is overwhelm. That's what's holding you back, and do your best to kind of address that. Maybe you can't solve everything all at once, but just pick one thing and really focus in on that and try and move forward. That'd sort of be my thoughts. Nick, how have you found defeating that one?
Yeah, there's a bit of that. There's also a bit of the fear of the unknown. If you're new to investing, for example, and don't know what the market's gonna do or how the market's gonna react, and there's lots of noise, especially early last year with Trump and conflicts going on and whatnot. So there's a bit of the fear of the unknown. But I guess you just got to jump in at some point, get some education and whatnot, and just, yeah, stop procrastinating and give it a crack.
I mean, it's a good point, and it's good that you actually mentioned, yeah, last year. I mean, that was certainly an interesting year. Markets dived there March, April. Trump announced his tariffs, and people thought he was going to cause the next recession. And of course, it never happened. In fact, I've got some stats. So the US market ended up 14% for the year, and its 5-year running average now is about 15% per year. Which is a heck of a lot better than bank interest. The Aussie market, not quite as generous, but we were still up 6.65 for the year, and averaged about 9% per year over the last 5 years. So, yeah, you're dead right. There was every reason last year, for instance, to say, oh, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's a good reason for me to just sit on cash. And yet, if you did so, you missed out on some really good returns. And so, yeah, procrastination has a cost, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I guess another way around, procrastinating the market, if there is a bit of that fear of the unknown, is to, dollar cost average or slowly invest into the market over a period of time, whether
Mm.
you've got, a lump sum, or whether you just start putting in $100 a week or $50 a week, whatever it looks like, whatever you can afford, if that's, conducive to your goal, but ultimately stop procrastinating from an investment point of view, and from, getting a lot of these other um, resolutions do lead to stop procrastinating around budgeting and a few others.
Mm.
But I guess that's a big one to start off with.
It is. And just on the dollar cost averaging too, I mean, there's the mathematical element of, yeah, getting an average purchase price over time. So you don't need to worry about market ups and downs so much. But the other good thing with dollar cost averaging is the automation, just the fact that it's not something that you need to consciously consider, which is really good for one, because it happens. And, if you've got to consciously think about it, there might just be months where you've got other things on your plate and you don't get around to it. But for two, it also helps you continue to buy when markets are down, whereas human nature is such that whenever markets are down and the headlines are all doom and gloom, if you've got if it's a discretionary thing to invest, the inclination is to hit pause. But actually, what you want to be doing is continuing to buy when those periods are down, because that's when the prices are at their cheapest. So, yeah, dollar cost averaging and the automation that typically accompanies that, it definitely success elements, I suppose.
And as you said, in April, when the market did go backwards a little bit, if we were dollar cost averaging, it would have been a great time to be buying, because
Yeah.
we got that steep recovery and we're up, yeah, quite significantly, especially in the US, as you said at the start there.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. All right, Nick, what have you got as the next one?
Yeah,
Procrastinating number one. What have we got next?
so the next one is to set, define, or refine your goals, whatever they may
Mm,
be, personal, financial, lifestyle. And I guess that leads into the stop procrastinating around investing and dollar cost averaging. We wouldn't do that unless we had a goal
mm.
of some sort to help us get there. But I guess sitting down and, thinking about what you want in the next 12 months, in the next 3 years, 5 years, is probably a start. Making some ambitious but achievable goals to get you started.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, this one comes up a lot in the newspaper column that I write. People send questions around, of received an inheritance or whatever, sold an investment property or something, what should I do with the money? And typically my response is, well, depends. What's your goal? Because everything starts from there. If your goal is, well, I want to have more money to enjoy my life now and do some travel, then of course the appropriate investment decision is entirely different versus, well, I want to get debt free, or I want to set myself up for when I retire, or I want to help the kids get into the property market, right? So, you need to start with the goal, and then you can sort of progress from there as to, all right, well, if that's the goal, then the sensible financial decision is A, B, and C, right? But yeah, absolutely, setting some goals is a key success factor, not just in financial life, but I know generally, certainly I've read some stuff around athletes and Australian Institute of Sport and that sort of stuff. And a lot of the process there is around establishing goals to work towards, and it gives you a bit of momentum too. If you tick off some goals, then you sort of gives you encouragement. You feel like you're moving forward, and then that can help you progress to the next item that you're working towards.
Yeah, I guess in that area, goals breed habit, and then habit allows you to potentially achieve these goals. Or good habits are always good to have,
Mm,
to help you achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
true enough. True
Uh,
enough. Yeah.
the next one there is to start budgeting. Budgeting can be scary, let's not lie. Figuring out how much we actually spend on our Netflix and Prime accounts and whatnot. But you have to start somewhere, and starting to budget, seeing what we're spending, where, what we need, and what's more discretionary is a good way to go. There's heaps of different apps on your phone these days that automate the budgeting to show you what you do spend and where you're spending it, eating out or the electricity bill or childcare or whatever it looks like. But that's definitely a step to take.
Yeah. Now, on that one, Nick, so a couple of things to add. So, for one, I know the word budgeting, gets people twitchy because it kind of feels like you're being the fun police, right? Just a plug here for listeners. If you haven't checked out my financial autonomy book, and look, it's put out a few years ago now, so there's some elements that are maybe a touch dated, but most of it should still be okay. And there's a section here, I call it cash flow management rather than budgeting, because it's just a bit more palatable. Plus, budgeting implies that it's all about the spending, which is sort of what we're talking about. But of course, it's not just spending. That there's the other side of the equation, which is income too. So cash flow picks up both. But I just make mention with that, it is good to have some sort of plan, but there are lots of different ways that you can budget, which you alluded to, Nick. Different ways that you can manage your expenses, and it depends a lot on the type of personality that you are. Some people like a lot of detail. Most people don't, and they want a more fluid sort of plan. So in the financial autonomy book, I think there was six different budgeting type approaches, five or six, I can't remember exactly. And there's a little tool there that you can kind of do a bit of an assessment as to which of those is likely to work best for you. So yeah, have a bit of a look if you get a chance. It's still the book's still available on Amazon if you don't have a copy. But if you need a bit of help around that cash flow budgeting, there's like a whole chapter and there's all sorts of tools and things in there that might help you with that. So yeah, it might just help you move forward.
Yeah, and I guess you've got to build it for yourself. And as you said, there's those six different types that you have there. So you've got to personalize it to make sure that it is sustainable and we don't, I guess, stop doing it after January, February, as some of these resolutions
Mm.
happen to happen.
But that is the sort of thing, though, that once you get in a habit, it's likely to persist. I mean, once you get, depending on the strategy you adopt, but for instance, if you have a bucket type strategy and you have a bills account and these kind of things, and you get automatic transfers set up, once they're set up, they tend to continue. So that's the sort of habit that is likely to persist, and it's more than just a New Year's resolution. It's just a change in the way you approach your financial management.
Mhm. 100%. And I guess what leads into that is, you know, credit cards and high interest debts and whatnot. And I guess a good resolution would be to pay them off or make sure we pay them off every month. Not saying don't use credit cards, and there's, incentives, points, and all that. But I guess ensuring that we don't get hit with extremely high interest because we haven't paid it off within the repayment period or whatever that looks like. Paying off your credit cards every month is definitely high on the list, and that leads into, I guess, the budgeting aspect as well. If we're using our credit card a lot of the times to pay our bills or buy our milk and bread and whatnot.
Yeah, and these days, I mean, we tap and go with our phones for everything, don't we? So it is easy to end up in credit card difficulty because you spend more than you earn. It's not like it used to be where, well, you just run out of money in your bank account, right? And then you couldn't spend any more, and it was Vegemite on toast for the rest of the week. Now you just keep on tapping, and then you get to the end of the month and realize that, hang on a minute, I've spent X, but I've only got Y in the bank account. So it's easier to get in strife on that front. So yeah, look, I think that's a good one to highlight. And again, if it's something that as a listener you're finding a bit challenging, then yeah, circle back to the previous point around budgeting and cash flow.
Yep, yeah, 100%. And yeah, we want to, I guess, avoid paying the banks or whoever that high interest rate that you would get copped with,
Mm,
if you're unfortunate enough to not pay it off. But yeah, I guess making an effort to reduce debt that exists or pay it off if we can is definitely one to consider.
absolutely.
Number five, which isn't particularly our field around finance, but it's updating your passwords on your personal banking, on, updating your passwords in general is always a smart decision. couple of years. There's been heaps of data leaks over the past couple of years, Optus and Telstra and Medibank and the like, and hopefully, I'm sure most people have been caught up in one of them, unfortunately. I know I have, so yeah, updating your passwords every now and then isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Data security and yeah, avoiding scams. I mean, that's part of living in the modern world, isn't it? We are using digital technology. It interacts with our finances enormously. I mean, it's interesting these days. Like historically, I've done internet banking on my computer, but these days it pushes me to go to the phone to authenticate or stuff anyway. So I end up kind of having to do my banking on the phone now anyway. But I mean, I don't know. I know there are still bank branches around. There don't seem to be too many of them though. So good luck operating in today's world without, without internet and passwords and these sort of things. And yeah, certainly if they get compromised, it's a big issue, right? So yeah, it's a good reminder, Nick. Yeah, changing passwords and well, these days they call them passphrases, don't they, rather than passwords, which is clever. So yeah,
There you go. Yeah, and I get everything these days has two-factor authentication as well, so there's an
yeah,
additional layer of security. We see it, in the office with all of our logins at work as well, which can be tedious at times, but it's all there, I guess, to protect you. And yeah, but changing passwords every now and then doesn't hurt.
yeah. No, great one to raise. The next one I can see on the list here, Nick, building an emergency fund. What do you suggest there?
Yep. So that leads into your goals as well and budgeting. But building up an emergency fund, I know generally we see people with 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in their savings account, bank account, easily accessible. You know, if the car breaks down and we need to dip into some savings, we can use the emergency fund. If we lose our job, hopefully we don't. If we get made redundant, there's that backing there to allow us to have a bit of a safety net, a bit of security, having a bit of an emergency fund
Yeah.
to ensure.
And if you've got a mortgage, that would probably be in your offset account or it might be redraw. That would typically be the place you would hold that. But yeah, it's the lack of some sort of emergency fund is usually the reason people get into financial difficulty, that they're sort of keeping their head just above water, treading water pretty hard, but keeping the head above water, and then just something out of the blue happens, and all of a sudden it puts them under, and they just don't have the capacity to get back on top. So yeah, definitely having an emergency fund if you don't have something there already, that sort of shock absorber. That would certainly be a good thing to aspire to in 2026 and to work towards achieving.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess in instances where we don't, that might lead to the high interest debts that we were talking about before.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
in times it might not be easy to build up the emergency fund, but if 2026 is the year you build it up, it will hopefully we never have to use the emergency fund, but inevitably, the pipes burst in the kitchen and you need a plumber, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a good one to think about.
And probably too, just something to flag is um, this is especially important if you're a casual worker or your work is a little bit insecure. But particularly for casual workers where they don't have sick leave, we some of you might be aware, but my wife runs some bars, and the staff there are casual. And we had one staff member who had a medical situation and was in hospital for 5 days. And uh, if he's in hospital, he's not working, and when you're casual, there's no sick leave. And he was a little bit difficult in a bit of a difficult position, and we had to sort of help him out there a bit. So, particularly yeah, if you don't have that security of employment and you don't have sick leave and annual leave and these kind of things up your sleeve, it's even more important to try and get yourself that financial buffer. So, yeah, just give that some thought if that's applicable to you, anyhow.
Yep, 100%. Um, the next one there's estate planning, and we've done podcasts with Novum Law on estate planning, but I guess well, from experience, we see one of the biggest things that people do procrastinate over is y your wills and your powers of attorney. Um, no one likes to think about where to leave your funds and what happens when you're gone. But I guess that's an easy one to procrastinate. So getting something down on paper and sorted out is definitely um, a New Year's resolution you might have for 2026.
Yeah, and it's look, we all think we're going to live forever, and it's not free to have the solicitor do these things, so that's a bit of a disincentive. It's easy to kick it down the road, but once you get your wills done, it's probably good for 20 years, maybe more. So yeah, if it is something that you can manage to tick off, even though it's a bit of a grudge purchase, I appreciate, but it is sensible. And even, I mean, if you're listening and you've got, young children, an element of that is, well, who's going to be the guardian for them if something happened to you? Well, that's something as a parent that you should take responsibility for. So it can be more than just the will. It's thinking about how things would play out if something horrible would have happened to you. So yeah, I'm certainly guilty of kicking that one down the road in the past. And yeah, as you say, Nick, it's one we see a heck of a lot. So yeah, it's a challenging one, but if you can address it this year, that would be a really good thing to have accomplished.
100%. Number eight. So the second last one would be to make a plan, a financial plan to encompass, I guess it could encompass everything we've just raised here, budgeting, estate planning, emergency funds and whatnot. But, a plan is just a point in time and something to work towards with, things changing in your personal life and around the world, in the markets and whatnot. But having something to work towards is something, a good structure to have to begin with.
Yeah, your financial plan's really pulling it all together, isn't it? So it's got, okay, these are the goals, and then these are our current financial resources, balance sheet, income, that sort of stuff, expenses, and then thinking about the strategies that you're going to do to achieve those goals. And yeah, so that the plan is pulling it all together, right? And yeah, you're much more likely to make some progress if you've got a plan in place.
Yep. And in those plans, there's projections and the like that you can, project out if what you're doing at the moment is, viable and will help you meet your goals, if changes need to be made to make it easier to get to. So yeah, having a plan is a good starting point.
Totally, totally. All right, Nick. Now, I think that brings us to our final suggestion around things that people might think about for 2026. Take it away.
Yeah, the final one is consider getting financial professionals help with your financial New Year's resolutions or just your scenario. Um, you know, that we can help you out in that area. You may know a fair bit, educate yourself, but having a second lot of eyes run over your situation is never a bad idea. So seek professional help, whether
Mm.
it's with the wills or whether it's with accounting or whether it's setting up a financial plan.
Yeah, great point. None of us know. Well, we don't know what we don't know is the famous thing, isn't it? And yeah, getting some expert help's a good idea. And of course, that we've got the Wealth Builder program that you help
Yeah.
people with.
Yeah. So on the Wealth Builder program, one of the constraints might be affordability of advice, and that's understandable. And that's why we have put together the Wealth Builder program to tackle that affordability issue. And what it is, it's a 12-month program where we go from an initial meeting, providing a plan, making sure we're on track, and then a catch up at the end of the program to check in, make sure we've done everything we need to, and make sure we're still on track. And there's costs, and it's an initial fee of 9.90 for the program, and then monthly installments of 3.90 per month to spread the cost out and make it, I guess, that little bit more affordable.
Yeah, yeah, and that's for people that have been listening to me for a while. That's been the evolution of we used to have the financial autonomy program, and I guess we've sort of iterated on that and improved it, and yeah, it's become the Wealth Builder program today. So some listeners might have experienced something similar already, and yeah, the Wealth Builder program these days is, as you say, our solution for providing advice where affordability is a little bit challenging, which, as you say, is pretty reasonable for a lot of people. So yeah, it's certainly a well proven program that we've refined a lot over many years.
Yeah, that's it. So those are the nine New Year financial resolutions that come to mind. I'm sure there's lots of people that have different ones, non-financial ones and the like, but there's our nine to consider or to think about in January, February as we start 2026.
Yeah, well done, Nick. I think it's always good at the start of the year to just yeah, be thinking about what we're going to focus on for the year ahead. And yeah, I think there's some great ideas there. So nicely put together. And yeah, well done to you.
No worries. Thanks. Well, thanks for joining me today on the podcast. And yeah, that's a wrap for today's episode of The Wealth Builder. Good luck to everyone with those resolutions. Hopefully they do last for the whole of 2026. Thanks to everyone for listening along as well. If you like today's episode, feel free to leave us a message or share it with someone you might know that finds our conversation valuable. If you did want to look at the Wealth Builder program, feel free to join to look us up on the guidance website or via the link in the description. But we look forward to bringing you your next episode in a fortnight's time. But until then, have a great day.
The information in this podcast is of a general nature only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or needs. You should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and, if necessary, seek personal financial advice from a licensed financial advisor. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future results. All views expressed are those of the presenter and should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional advice.